John and Elizabeth had always dreamed of owning a grand old house, and they found the perfect one in Blackwood Manor. But as soon as they moved in, strange things started to happen. Doors opened and closed on their own, footsteps echoed through the empty halls, and cold spots lingered in the air. At first, they tried to ignore it, thinking it was just their imagination. But the disturbances only grew worse. They heard whispers in the night, saw shadows moving on the walls, and felt an overwhelming sense of dread. One night, they finally saw the source of the disturbances, a malevolent spirit black as night and filled with hate. It seemed to be trapped in the house, unable to leave, and it had lashed out at John and Elizabeth with all its fury. They tried everything to get rid of it. They brought in priests and mediums, they burned sage and holy water, but nothing worked. The spirit only grew stronger, more violent, and more determined to drive them out. As the days turned into weeks, and the weeks turned into months, John and Elizabeth grew more and more desperate. They knew that they had to do something, but they didn't know what. They couldn't leave the house for fear that the spirit would follow them. They couldn't stay for fear that it would consume them. One day, they stumbled upon an old journal hidden in the attic. It belonged to the previous owner of the house, a man who had also been tormented by the malevolent spirit. In the journal, he wrote about a ritual he had performed to banish the spirit, a dangerous and complicated ritual that involved sacrifice. John and Elizabeth were hesitant to perform such a dark and gruesome act, but they felt they had no other choice. They gathered everything they needed, including a small animal to sacrifice, and performed the ritual on a stormy night. The ritual worked, and the malevolent spirit was banished from Blackwood Manor. But the memory of the spirit lingered on, a warning to all who dared to enter the house. John and Elizabeth knew that they had been lucky to come out alive, for the spirit was a force to be reckoned with, a malevolent spirit that could not be underestimated. They left the house vowing never to return. But they couldn't escape the memories of what had happened in Blackwood Manor, the fear and the terror that had consumed them. They carried it with them, always looking over their shoulders, always wondering if the spirit would find them again.